Hi everyone, this is Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill. First of all, I'd like to thank Margaret Weinberger from the New Jersey Federation of Democratic Women and Hazel Bland Thomas from the National Federation of Democratic Women. And I love this year's theme, when women vote, Democrats win. And we certainly saw that in my district in 2018. In fact, if you heard about the wave of suburban women that really came out in large numbers, not just to vote, but to canvass, to knock on doors, to make phone calls, to write postcards, then you're talking about the 11th District of New Jersey. You're talking about me, because as a mom in the suburbs with 4 kids, I know what's on the table, and I know how important so much of what we're fighting for is. And that's why we saw the record turnout that we did and the support we did. And that support, I'll tell you, has really stayed strong in my district and is so crucial. And let me tell you, when I first decided to run, I went to a prominent woman in my town in Democratic politics, and I said to her, I'm going to run for Congress. And she asked me, who's your base? Who's going to support you? And I said, well, I'm a veteran. I think they'll come out. I'm a lawyer. I think the lawyers will come out, former federal prosecutor. People will support me there, and women. And she said, not so fast. Look what happened to Hillary. And wow, those were really powerful words to me, thinking, I guess that's right. And I worked hard, and a couple months past that, I looked at her and I said, I think something's different. And she said, yeah, I think you're right. And that's because so many of us saw just what was at stake. Making sure that we're investing in things like quality and affordable childcare. In half the states in this nation, center-based infant care costs more than in-state college tuition. I know so many of you know that because you've had to pay for it. Many of you have probably paid for childcare that costs more than you were making at the time, like I did. Working at that time was almost a luxury, and we saw some of those horrible numbers through the pandemic as women just struggled to get back to work with so many childcare issues. We know what's important, what's at the table for our children. I was just in Ukraine, and seeing the fight for democracy there really made me realize how lucky we are here. I talk all the time about ways I agree with our president, sometimes about ways I disagree with our president, and I've never once been thrown in jail. And yet that's exactly what's going on in parts of the world today. So I just want to tell you, when we think of the world we want for our children, when we think of the world we want for ourselves, when we think of the world we want for that younger generation of women coming up behind us, this is what we're fighting for now. And that's why we go out and vote. And that's why when we vote, Democrats win, because we know the policies of Democrats are so much better for women, our families, and our future. So thank you all so much for having me here today. Really great to get a chance to speak to you. And thanks so much for getting the women out to vote.